When something that doesn't quite fit the way we'd seen the world up to then happens, that makes us laugh. It's why Melissa McCarthy playing Sean Spicer is just inherently funny. We didn't expect to see that. The truth and surprise are big sources of comedy, especially truth with a twist. The real world reflected back to us in a way that we hadn't quite seen it before. That's the root of any great idea. Any original idea comes at us as a reflection of the truth. Yeah, this is what's going on in the world. This is true to the opportunity that we're trying to leverage. But I'd never thought of it that way before. So it's surprising. So in an idea session, it makes total sense, really, that when we're knocking ideas around and then suddenly something happens and it gets everyone laughing, it's because someone said something that's got a real truth to it, but in a surprising way, often risky, often shocking, or sometimes provocative. But in those sessions, if we start to laugh, it's why I'm now passionate when I coach people in how to be creative, how to run those sessions. I'll say, if you start to see laughter, if suddenly something makes us laugh, see it as a red flag, that there's probably a genius idea in there somewhere. But the good news is, it's not just my hunch, there's some real science behind this. Okay, I looked into it more and more and found that, so Professor Karuna Subramaniam here, a professor of psychiatry at UCSF, she did a load of research into this, the role of humor in creativity. What she did, she took a big sample of people and split them into 3 groups. And each group was going to get a creative task, a problem to solve, some ideas to have, the same exercise. But the 3 groups were all given a different bit of stimulus before they were given this exercise. One group watched a comedy, they watched a Robin Williams gig. Another group, they were shown a horror film, that was The Shining. And another group were given a ton of information. They were forced to sit through a lecture in quantum mathematics. And then they were all given this creative task and asked to come up with ideas. And she found that the group that had watched the comedy came up with demonstrably more and better ideas than the other groups. And she also did MRI scans on their brains and found that those people that had been laughing, the bit of the brain that she most identifies with problem-solving, creative thinking, I think it's the anterior cingulate cortex, was most stimulated by the group that was watching the comedy. So they were hardwired then to be able to come up with better ideas. So there's some science behind it as well. But so what? So what can we all do about that? Well, I think what that means is that we can all, when we're looking to be creative and reinvent the future and come up with ideas and be more innovative, there's a lot we can learn from the world of comedy. In other words, if the best ideas come as jokes, how do jokers come up with their best ideas? Well, having worked with lots of comedians, lots of comedy writers, I've seen that there are tools and techniques and behaviors and mindsets that they get into that I now employ when I'm working with teams or organizations, helping them come up with ideas. And I think you can split them into 2 main groups. So I'm going to share a couple with you. And I think the groups are about behaviors, about attitude, about mindset. How do people who are great at coming up with jokes, uncovering truths in surprising ways, how do they do it? And then some tools and techniques, some exercises. What are the things they do to help them get to that place?